Testing 1 2. So welcome guys for the OBF1 race in Great Britain. I am Chris Hamouts. I'm doing the commentary for today relating to the OBF1 race in Great Britain. We have currently 17 drivers, and I believe that there will be another driver who will be joining very soon as well. While the drivers are doing their opening laps, may I take the opportunity to present you with the points quickly for the tier 1 after round 4 of 15 races. So Lil Jim is leading the pack with 73 points on the Alfa Romeo, followed by FTH with 58 points, Short Marcus with 52, Mitch with 43, Speed Alcoholic with 25, Kieran Rees with 24, followed by IVL Arshel with 24 points, El Shakal with 18 points, followed by Paul Harrison and Meyer Jesse with 18 points as well. Outward Patient follows them with 17 points, and then there's George Stupis with 12 points. There's Nipsey with 11 points, followed by Owet with 6 points, and AJM with 3 points. When it comes to the constructor standings, there's the Alfa Romeo leading the pack with 97 points, followed by AlphaTauri with 70 points, the Ferrari with 61 points, McLaren with 45 points, Alpine with 42 points, Red Bull with 29, followed by Mercedes with 28 and Williams with 26. Then there is Haas with 9 points and Aston Martin with no points until this date. So the Great Britain track, one of the most renowned tracks in the Formula One history. I reckon that it has been used for quite a long time, although the track has been amended to sort out the current regulations of the FIA. So as we are seeing, Pistol Racing trying to do his best to provide his hot lap on the Britain lap. He's trying to get to the throttle as early as possible, going into the first DRS zone, going full into the throttle, and now he's going into Stowe, where we know that there were a lot of healthy battles between Valtteri Bottas and Lewis Hamilton, as well as Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton, and Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen, alongside with other drivers. And Pistol Racing already invalidating the lap, so we're quickly going with Mitch, who has started the lap and already invalidated the lap as well. This is so easy to invalidate the lap, especially from turn 1, because the drivers would need to try to take as early intake of the turn 1 as possible, risking the car to spin or invalidate the lap. As we have Dixie Wrecked, also a fellow driver that I race against in another league, who has set the bar for the remainder of the field with a 127.650. I believe that the 127s can be beaten for the likes of other drivers like Lil Jim, Mitch, Short Marcus and FTH, amongst some other drivers. Oh, and we have Pistol Racing and Obwet already DNFing from the session, and Reese as well. I believe that turn 1 is being quite a hassle for the drivers. As we are on board with Lil Jim, taking the shortest route possible with that gear 7, keeping on gear 7, taking the Copse turn efficiently. and now on gear 8 trying to make the Beckett's, Meggetts and Beckett's, and now towards Chapel with that full speed, taking the maximum RPM possible. Lil Jim seems to be on the very good lap towards the last 2 corners. This is very difficult when it comes to the throttling, but Lil Jim makes it look so easy. However, still in P2 with a 127.506. I believe that the drivers can still improve a lot. I believe that the 1 minute 27s can be beaten. Again on board with Mitch on that McLaren car, taking a wider line in order to cut the apex later, having a better exit speed. So again, going into Meggetts and Beckett's, keeping on gear 8. I think that the best gear shouldn't be gear 8. I think as you go into Meggetts and Beckett's, my opinion would be that you need to downshift 1 gear for each corner you take, and you take the penultimate corner into gear 5, and then taking the full throttle in order to take the sequence of corners as efficient as possible, and to get the turn as efficient as possible as well. And Mitch completes the lap and finishes in P5. Right, currently on board with Super Calgan. Not taking the best apex as possible there, but he's turning on the DRS, going into full throttle on that Williams car. Oh, hello Craig. Yes, I am aware that your PSN name relates to Marshall, so thank you for pointing that as well. So, Super Calgan taking... Ooh, that's a very good turn, almost making the car spin, but he's still on full on the throttle, still on gear 8, now he's downshifting into gear 6 and 5. I believe he has done the sequence of corners in terms of the downshifting a little bit late, but still good on the lap. It's showing that he's purple on sector 2. He's finishing the last couple of corners without making the car spin. And he finishes in P10. Currently on board with FTH. FTH is one of those drivers that does not use any assist whatsoever, except for the racing line, if not mistaken. He's a very efficient driver, so I would expect him to do very well in this track, given that this track contains more than 70% throttling. He's going to Meggetts and Beckett's, and he's doing it very efficiently. Meggetts and Beckett's. He only downshifted 2 gears and he still got the turns very efficient, and this is why the ABS off, the efficient use of ABS off would really benefit you as a driver, because you get more turn with less downshifting. He's going to the last 3 corners, braking into gear 2, short shifting into gears 3 and 4, getting to the throttle as early as possible, going into the last turn, and FTH goes into P7 alongside Short Marcus, who is 0.03 of a second away from FTH. Alright, let's go on board with Komza, who is on a fast lap right now. He's going into this turn, touching the apex, very efficient use of the car right there. Turning on the DRS, again taking the longest route but the most efficient one in terms of the exit speed. Braking at the 50-meter mark, trying to touch this apex, very difficult to invalidate there. Downshifting to gear 3, short shifting into gear 4, going full into the throttle as early as possible without making the car spin. Ooh, not taking the most efficient line right there. Now going into the cops corner, full throttling. Ooh, and he had to brake a little bit. But that's unfortunate. Now into the sequence of the Maggots and Beckett corner. He's trying to make it as efficient as possible. Not bad, not bad. Finishing sector 2. Komsa, he's still not improving his time, but he's very, very close. So sector 3 is all or nothing in order to get that P2 or P1. Let's see. With Komsa taking the last 3 corners, getting as early as possible to the throttle, and he improves by almost 2 tenths, and that puts him in P1. Now on board with Shnisi, who's currently in P2. He's trying to do his best. I believe that my best time here was a 1 minute 26.9. So I believe that Lil Jim has something extra, which he did. And now we're finally seeing some raw pace of the best drivers of the OBF1 racing. Now we have touched the 1:26.9. As I was saying that my best lap was a 1:26.9. So well done in that respect to Shore Marcus, who is cutting the track left, right and center. As long as he doesn't defeat any driver, all good from the driver. So on board with Marshall, getting some airtime to IV Marshall, or Craig Marshall as we know him. I think he has abandoned the lap somehow. Alright, let's go to Mitch again. He seems that he's doing another fast lap. He's improving by 2 tenths, and that would potentially put him in P5 if he keeps up. Taking the cops corner, very, very good. The car seems very, very stable. And now he's attacking the Maggots and Becketts. I believe that he uses auto gears, from what I can see. But that was a very, very good sequence of corners by Mitch, one of the league admins in OBF1 racing. Taking the last sequence of corners. Going into gear 2, gear 3, full throttling beyond this point, full traction, and he has improved by 3 tenths, which puts him in P3, and it is a very, very nice lap, only a few tenths away from Short Marcus. We all know that this track is a very, very fast track, and therefore it's so important that you keep within the driver in front within that 1 second in order to gain that extra speed. That is called the DRS. Without that, you will potentially fall out of the DRS train, and when falling off the DRS train, what you end up is that you lose pace, and this is very, very important that you keep following these drivers. Sometimes a race can be compromised by those 3-second time penalties, so an efficient drive here would definitely get you a lot of points. Again on board with FTH, the second driver on the championship on the Ferrari. FTH on those soft tires. I think he's the only driver who is on the medium tires and qualified in P7. Taking the Cox corner, very, very good right there. Now he's taking the Maggots and Beckett's corners, trying to get the short, the downshifting as efficient as possible. That was a very, very efficient Sequence of corners with the DRS on, now towards Chapel. Braking into the 50-meter mark, downshifting into gear 6, keeping the throttling on. And he invalidates the lap and he dives into the pits. Ooh, is that allowed? I think he at least got a warning from the game. But I would believe that the efficient one would be to downshift accordingly and go into the pit limiter. That wasn't safe. But anyway, I think he's doing his best to change his tires and try to go with a new set of tires and do that one last lap, because we have only 2 minutes 28 seconds left, and that would mean that the drivers are preparing for their last run. A lot of people on their out lap. But we have also Komza, who is doing the lap right now. He has improved by 2/10 from sector 1 only. We have George Stofis, who has retired from the session without even setting a time as well. So we have 4 drivers who didn't manage to set a time, unfortunately. Also, Short Marcus retired from the session. Of course, he has a very good lap. I believe that I have his pace if I do a very efficient lap on this track. Yesterday I managed to race in a league where I did not use any ABS whatsoever, and my best time was a 1:27.4. I think it was similar to Komza's time. Of course, with the ABS assist you tend to be between 4 to 5 tenths faster, so I believe that the 1:26.9 would be on my reach, one of my strong tracks. But as we see Komza crossing the line, he puts himself in P3. And now we're following Liljim. Liljim, one of the last guys to cross the line for his hot lap. Currently on board with Liljim. He's starting the lap right now, one of the guys to watch, and I believe that he is the only guy that is able to beat Short Marcus. He's a very rapid driver, going into turn 3, turn 4, touching the apex very efficiently, getting into the throttle as early as possible, taking the shortest route right here, turning on the DRS, and let's see what sector 1 brings to Liljim. Liljim has improved by 1/10 of a second. He's taking the route, very good route, very nice route, getting very early to the throttle without making the car spin. Now taking the shortest distance here. Liljim on that Alfa Romeo car. Let's see whether he makes it flat out. It seems that he did. Maybe he lost a little bit of time, I think, because he had to lift for a split second, while Super Culligan has retired from the session. Oh, that was very efficient use and sequence of corners by Liljim. He's doing it very efficiently, and clearly he's a guy that uses the manual setup and the manual gearbox as well. Very efficient right there. Let's see, going to the last 3 corners. Not the best corner right there, but he has gone into the throttle as early as possible without making the car spin. And Liljim has improved by almost 3/10, which puts him in a flat 1:27, which puts him in P2, and Dixie wrecked with a very efficient lap as well, with a 1:27.077. Lovely lap from the Dixie wreck. We also have Nitsi, but he has invalidated the lap. Mitch is also doing the lap right now. He's a very strong driver. He's improving by 0.125 seconds. That would potentially put him in P5. So if he can get another 2/10, that would be very good for Mitch to put him in P4, the OBF1 admin. May I take the opportunity as well to advertise the leak of the OBF1 while Mitch puts himself in P5. Oh, and we have FTH managing to finish the lap as well with a 1:27.040. Ooh, only a 10 separates between the first driver and the fourth driver. So, as I was saying, when I take the opportunity to advertise the OBF1 leak, just let us know through the comments if you're interested to join in the fun of these races. this is the Tier 1 race. The Tier 2 race races at 7 p.m. UK time. So that would be 8 p.m. Central European time. While the Tier 1 race races at 8:30 p.m. UK time or 9:30 p.m. Central European time. The qualifyings are in a format of short qualifyings, 18 minutes, and a 50% race with specific assists allowed, like the traction control and the ABS and the gearbox, if not mistaken. I am not sure whether there are other assists that are allowable as well. So just let me know in the comments if you wish to have the link of the league, and I can bring you in. So there we have it. We have Short Marcus leading the pack with a 126.9. Now I wish that I was there as well, because I believe that I would have been there, but that's alright. Combs is nice as well. And yeah, so Short Marcus leading the pack with 126.955, the only driver to surpass the 1 minute 27 mark, followed by Lil Jim, FTH, Dixie Rect, Schnitzi, Mitch, Komza, Paul Harrison, Marshall, and Outward Patient. That would be the first 10 drivers. We also have Paul Harrison, who has inherited a 5-position grid penalty, potentially to a collision with another driver. As we head into the race, alright, so as we said, Britain, I think it has quite a number of corners, but mostly, at least more than 70% of the lap you're throttling. It's one of the highest average speed tracks, making it very, very fun track. Oh, now the high speeds would be a little bit controversial with this rain. Oh, it seems that it's raining quite a lot. Don't know whether it should be a wet tire strategy, a rainy race. Alright, I have raced yesterday in a rainy race in Silverstone, and for those that do not use any ABS, it's not gonna be a very nice experience, I tell you. But yeah, I was just about to say that when it comes to the tire strategies, it's quite straightforward, from soft to medium or medium to soft. Of course, the first strategy that I have mentioned should be the optimal strategy. The reverse strategy doesn't really benefit you a lot, so that's my 2 cents worth on it. But it's raining and we don't know whether the race is going to be full rain throughout, like I had yesterday, or maybe it dries out. Let's see. We have 5 lights, and away we go, with Short Marcus getting to the throttle, not as efficient. Ooh, having Lil Jim and Short Marcus with that little tussle. Dixie Red getting a very, very good start, putting himself into P2. Lil Jim following the other drivers. FTH follows in P4, Mitch in P5, and we already have a virtual safety car. Ooh, what has just happened? I think there's, oh, what? Ooh, and we have pistol racing as well. That's unlucky. I think that's a little bit slow from pistol racing. Oh, but I think he has a wing damage. So yeah, that's unfortunate. I believe that both of the drivers have wing damage somehow. So I'm noticing that there's this is a full wet track. The track that I had yesterday was using intermediate tires, so a big good luck to the drivers as we resume racing. And Dixie Rect taking the best exit. Ooh, he almost spun out, making Lil Jim alongside Dixie Rect and Lil Jim. Dixie Rect does not give up very easily. He's still gonna turn in, and Lil Jim enables himself past. Ooh, and Dick Sirek makes that little dive right there. But yeah, Lil Jim still keeps ahead in P2. FTH in P4. And we're noticing Paul Harrison, he's pitting, as well as George Soufis. And Mitch is gaining all the opportunity he can get. He has overtaken, I think, a driver for sure. Oh, and FTH, ooh, spins out with a slight touch. He loses a little bit of performance. Mitch gets past. Comes up, plays the safe action where Schnitzi makes the overtake from the outside out of Komza. The track is a little bit tricky, of course. You cannot get to the throttle as early as possible. That's unfortunate because, of course, the track is going to be a very slippy track. And now I'm questioning myself why FTH did a medium tire strat on the qualifying when the race was going to start in rain. Alright, so getting again on the top 5, FTH being in P5, still in contention, of course. He made a little bit of a mistake and Mitch took full advantage of it, which puts him in P4. Dick Sirek having a good race until now in P3. He says that he's not that good in this track, but I believe that he can be very efficient in this track if, of course, not stampered by other drivers. And we have yellow flags. And we have another virtual safety car. I think now is the time for some drivers to go into the pit if they have damage. I still believe that it's still a little bit early for a pit stop. Of course, the only ones that pit would be the ones that have been damaged. So potentially they have, there's Kieran Rees who potentially has damage. There's OBF1 who has just passed. I believe they has pitted already. There's Short Marcus. He has won the past 2 seasons of OBF1 racing, one of the admins, of course. He's a very rapid driver, underrated if you tell me, but he's very good in terms of strategy. As we get racing again with Dick Sirek taking a very good start right there. And now he's following Jim. Ooh, lovely stuff right there. Dick Sirek didn't take the chance to do a Hamilton on that Cops curve. Very nice battle between the top 3, Dick Sirek, Lil Jim and Short Marcus. Some lovely stuff right there. Ooh, Dick Sirek, I believe that he's driving on his pad, which makes him a very efficient driver when it comes to handling everything. I think that could be a warning for Dick Sirek. Ooh, the top 3 are very close to each other, and Jim and Mitch is slowly joining the party as well. FTH is a little bit back as well, but he will get there. There's Schnitzi. I think he was the champion of Division 2, I'm not 100% sure, but he has been promoted to Tier 1, so 6th place for a promoted driver, that would be a very good performance from the driver. Komza in P7, Outward Patient follows in P8. Mosherted, one of those good drivers, one of the oldest drivers I believe that I have seen racing in F1. He's in P9 on that pass. There's Marshall in P10, Super Calgan in P11, Team Red in P12, AJM in P13, OBF1 in P14, Paul Harrison in 15, and George Soufis, as he posts his fastest lap, he is in P16 with Rees in P17. He's possibly hoping for a safety car at this moment, which is very possible given the rain level that we have. So let's go again into the P1 with Short Marcus and Lil Jim, who's only following him ever so slightly. He's only a half second away from Short Marcus. and he's using that ERS as much as possible. We all know that the rain, usually when it pours, you don't use a lot of ERS in a lot of corners, so you would have more ability to use it whenever you have the chance. We have short Marcus wobbling a little bit, Lil Jim trying to take as much points as possible. Hello James, yes, I have managed to change the map, and thank you for reminding me. I have forgotten to put it initially. In the qualifying it was there, but for the race you just need to reset it again, basically, so my bad. Thanks for reminding me. So as you can see from the map, a lot of drivers are following each other, including the top three, with Short Marcus, Lil Jim and Dixirac. Dixirac already has received the first 3-second time penalty, while Lil Jim is taking an opportunity out of a mistake done by Short Marcus. You're welcome, James, you're welcome. Oh, and Lil Jim is going to do a Hamilton ride there. He's gaining on Short Marcus. Just not enough. And we have a spinner. That would be Kieran Rees. Unfortunate for the guy. Let's see when it comes to the penalties. So we have Dixirac with 3-second time penalty, as well as Schnitzy and Kieran Rees as well. As we see the battle between Lil Jim and Short Marcus evolving and evolving towards the last 3 corners of this lap. We are currently in lap 5 out of 26. This is a 50% race. In a rear race scenario, that would be 52 or 53 laps. While we see Lil Jim posting the fastest lap of the race. Should it be, or could it be, that the track is slowly drying up? Maybe less rain is being pouring down the track, and now we're seeing the true pace of the drivers. We'll just need to wait and see. We have Dixirac, who is losing out a little bit. There's Mitch, who is constantly within the pace of the drivers in front, while FTH is still quite a little bit back for his liking. There's Schnitzy and Komzo following each other in P6 and P7. But let's see. I mean, there's Lil Jim. The Lil Jim battle should be the one to watch, I believe. They are very close. There's also Super Callaghan and Marshall very close to each other, as well as there's Outward Patient. There's a good battle at the mid-pack between Outward Patient, Marshall, Super Callaghan and Team Red, but he's still a little bit at the back of the track. Now the drivers are getting closer and closer. I believe that the rain is slowly easing up a bit. Not 100% sure though. It's still that there are parts of the track that are patched with puddles, so that would mean that full wet conditions would still be in place. Ooh, Dixirac here running a specific wing level, making the car a little bit twitchy. Ooh, Lil Jim still following Short Marcus towards turn 3, 4, going into turn 5. Imagine in dry conditions that would be turning on the DRS, but of course there's no DRS, and Short Marcus and Lil Jim will only follow each other with ERS and Slipstream. And now we're noticing that Lil Jim is getting very close to Short Marcus, trying to force Short Marcus into an error. But of course there's Dixirac as well, with only 1.2 seconds away from Lil Jim, and Mitch is slowly but surely closing up towards the top 3 drivers. A very good race from Mitch. It seems that under rainy conditions it's not so easy to make the overtakes, but the drivers are following each other very efficiently. The top 4 drivers within contention, as we see Mitch also beating the 1 second mark towards Dixie Rack. Of course, if everything remains as is, Mitch would be in the podium and not Dixie Rack, given that he has a 3-second time penalty. We can notice that there's Nitsi with 6 seconds time penalty, and now becoming 9 seconds time penalty. While I'm noticing FTH, who's struggling a lot in the rain. I can feel you, buddy, because no ABS in the rain, that would really be a struggle compared to the ABS drivers. There's Nitsi with those 9-second time penalties following FTH. There's Komza in P7, having a very consistent race. Outbird Patient follows in P8, Marshall in P9. There's Super Calgan in P10, P11 there's Team Red. Super Calgan has 3-second time penalties. AJM in P12, Moshertit, I think he has changed the wing in P13 and also the tires. And he has 3-second time penalties. Albert was in P14, now promoted in P13. George Stufis also gets promoted in P14, so Moshertit would be in P15. There's Paul Harrison in P16 and Kieran Rees, who's finishing the lap in P17, having a Sunday drive, hoping for a safety car, which is very possible once again. But let's wait and see. It's going to be interesting with the first 4 drivers that are following each other very closely. Oh, and I think we have slightly yellow flags, which instantly turns into green flags. So no safety car at the moment. So let's follow this battle. There's Komza versus Schnitzi. And there's also Super Calgan, Marshall, Team Red, which is a little bit back from the pack. But I'm also noticing that slowly but surely the top 6 drivers are only within 8 seconds. So that's not much from the drivers. Oh, and we have a spinner. That would be Dixie. Ooh! I don't know what happened right there. But it was kind of expected from Dixie Rex that at a point he ends up spun out and with wing damage. Unfortunate, however, from Dixie Rex, who has 6 seconds time penalty to serve at the end of the race. He would surely need to pit. He has wing damage and his car is twitching a lot. And now ooh, lovely overtake by Outward Patient. Dixie Rex here struggling a lot. There's Marshall now just behind, trying to get the overtake as early as possible. Lovely stuff from Marshall. He had to cut the track to make the overtake. Dixie Rex didn't allow enough space given that he had damage. He's trying to oh, it's going to be very hard for Dixie Rex. He almost got the car spun. Oh, what happened? I think Mitch had a moment right there. He lost 2 positions at once towards FTH and Schnitzi. And Dixie Rex takes 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Don't think that's efficient. I think he is a little bit frustrated. In fact, he DNFs from the race. That's tough. That's kind of expected from Dixie Rex, unfortunately. Once the race doesn't go his way, boom, he retires and leaves the session. But let's get moving, let's get continuous towards this race. Lil Jim still following Shore Marcus, only 5/10 separates the top 2 drivers. FTH follows in P3, having a consistent race, only 1 mistake. That costed him 2 positions, but now he has regained them. Schnitzy in P4, there's Mitch following Schnitzy in P5, Komza follows straight after in P6, outward patient 8 seconds behind Komza in P7, Marshall in P8, and he has 3-second time penalty to serve, as well as Super Culligan, who is only 5 tenths away from Marshall, and then there's AJM with 10 seconds behind Super Culligan in P10. And we have the first movers. Team Mosherdit has retired from the race as well in the pits. It's unfortunate. I think I have a comment when it comes to retiring in the pits. My experience in OBF1 is clearly one thing. You can never ever give up in such a race, because a safety car might be in place at even the latter stages of the race. According to the statistics that I had for the OBF1 race, a safety car usually happens at the latter parts of the race, so one does not need to retire from the race, if you tell me. And Mosherdit's car is just right there. Shows that when you do not retire properly, if you do it in the pits, if you retire from the race just by entering the pits and press retire or leave the session, that would potentially put the car out again and make it a little bit of a danger zone for the other drivers. The most efficient way to retire, it's either through the pits, but it doesn't work every time, or you find a very safe spot in the track where nobody can touch you, stop the car there and disqualify yourself. That would be a little bit more of an efficient use of the retirement from the race. But let's follow this battle. I mean, we have quite a battle here with Komza, Mitch and Schnitzy following each other. Mitch is following closely Schnitzy, and we also have Lil Jim getting very close to short Marcus. He's trying to at least put the car alongside under these rainy conditions. It's a little bit difficult, isn't it? As we see Mitch make the overtake towards Schnitzy. Ooh, that puts him in P4. Lovely overtake from Mitch towards turns 4 and 5. Komza follows in P6, putting into the stall turn, trying to get the throttle as early as possible, making some little risks there and then. We also have Super Calgan in P9 and Marshall in P8. I think there was an overtake made here by Marshall. But let's see this battle. I mean, Mitch is slowly gaining, pulling away from Schnitzy. But Komza also within the battle between Schnitzy and Mitch as well. And we have now Lil Jim taking the beans out of the car. And now I have a specific question. Would there be anybody to pit for a second tire stint unless the rain eases out and enables an intermediate tire strategy use? Or will we have a straight on, no stop race, which is possible as well, but a little bit risky given the tire wear? Let's see, Lil Jim and Short Marcus having a very close battle. Has been like that. I think they have been within the 1 second for the whole race. So that's a very close race between Lil Jim, the leader of the OBF1 Tier 1 for the season. We have OBF also retiring from the race. I wouldn't suggest such retirement. It's still very early. We're still in the 50% of the 50% race. anything can happen. So by retiring you will gain nothing, you will learn nothing, and that's unfortunate. But let's see, Lil Jim has been very close. Only 1.5 tenths separates short Marcus and Lil Jim taking a peek to unbalance short Marcus out of the chapel. Now aiming to the last 3 corners of this lap, going now into the Hamilton straight. Lil Jim, I think, has been very close. Never been this close to short Marcus. Only 2 tenths separates the top 2 drivers, which is a very oh, short Marcus having a moment right there. Short Marcus had a moment. He had a moment, and Lil Jim is now taking the best apexes and the best exit speeds. He wants to make the overtake count. He's only 2 tenths away. He has been like that for the past few laps now. He brakes a little bit later so that short Marcus makes a mistake, and we have a spinner. That would be Mitch. It's unfortunate. We have Komza and Schnitzi. Schnitzi has 9-second time penalty to serve now. Paul Harrison still driving, Reese still driving. As I have said, there might be a safety car which puts them back into the contention of the race. So that's what happens, of course, if the safety car occurs for the drivers like OBF1, Mojerted and Dixirac, who retired very early and unnecessarily, in my opinion, because the race is very long and people can get penalties and damages. Anything can happen, basically. In the meantime, we have seen Lil Jim backing off a little bit. Maybe he had a moment himself as well. This is the closest battle that we have until now, and it has been this close, I think, for all the laps, as FTH makes the fastest lap of the race. I think it was 1:39th lap, which is a very good lap, and he's slowly closing in on Marcus and Jim. Going into Stowe, Lil Jim still close to short Marcus, but not close enough to take a peek and attempt an overtake. Also, we are also missing this battle. They have been very close to each other, Super Calgan and Marshall. For a lot of the time they were within the 1 second mark. Now maybe Super Calgan is drifting off a little bit from Marshall. But we have AJM, and George Stoof is slowly gaining on AJM on that Alpine car. It still seems that the track is not calming down yet. There's still puddles of water there and then, and that means that the race would potentially be a full wet race. As we had a slight double yellows, I think that was from Mr. Reese. Mr. Reese is getting very close to getting lapped. Oh, and we have Lil Jim getting very close. Short Marcus having a moment by locking up the tires. I forgot that Marcus doesn't use any ABS whatsoever, so well done to him. And we have a spinner. We have a spinner, awkward patient. He still seems that he can race. So no safety car as of yet. He loses at least 3 positions. Puts Marshall and Super Callaghan, and I think those two, only those two, made the overtake. Komza still following Schnitzi, also a battle that has been ongoing through the whole race. Of course, Schnitzi has 9-second time penalty and Komza has none, so that puts him in quite an advantage, in my opinion, with Mitch potentially also overtaking Schnitzy if he continues to gain on Schnitzy. So Lil Jim still following short Marcus, still within that 1 second mark. He's still putting the pressure for 16 straight laps. I wouldn't be in the shoes of short Marcus. Very, very good pressure from Jim, but short Marcus to keep it composed for the whole duration of the race until now. Hopefully I don't jinx it as a commentator. Very, very healthy race, very, very competitive race for the Tier 1 OBF1 racing. AGM is closing up on George Stufis. Of course, George Stufis made the overtake potentially on AGM because initially AGM was in front. There's Outward Patient, having a moment once again near the Hamilton straight, but he still kept the car composed. I would still assume that there's a potential safety car, I think around lap 20, I would assume. Something might happen. If it doesn't happen, it's not usual. My statistics tell me that usually a safety car occurs during this range. But let's see, let's wait and see. It seems that the track consists of drivers along the whole parts of the track, so it should be safe. There shouldn't be big battles going on at the moment. The closest battle we have is with Lil Jim and Short Marcus, which is now 6/10, and that would be, this is how much 6/10 would consist of. Short Marcus playing the dummy right there, but that lost him a lot of time to do it. Lil Jim now is very, very, very close to Short Marcus, very, very close. Never been so close, never been this close. Lil Jim, but he backed off a little bit. He's definitely going for the move now. He's braking slightly later. Short Marcus going to the defensive mode now. Lil Jim being very, very, very close now. Only 2/10 separates. And with that dummy move, Short Marcus puts himself into danger now. Of course, Lil Jim will not pit at this lap. We have 18 laps gone, and definitely no driver will be pitting at this moment unless the track gets drier by the minute. And it seems that Short Marcus got the status quo back again until the cops corner. Lovely stuff from Marcus right there. But he definitely tried to play the dummy, and it seems that he either logged up or something, because Lil Jim gained like 5/10 out of nowhere. And that's the pace, the real pace of Lil Jim. He pounces whenever he gets the chance. He pounces very, very efficiently, if you tell me. Short Marcus not taking the apex right there. Lil Jim now is very, very close. He's going to take the attack. He's going to make the attack for sure now. Short Marcus now is having his tires really, really worn out now. As we see FTH taking a 139.837. Lovely stuff from the guy. But we have Lil Jim and Short Marcus. This battle has been so, so close. And Short Marcus having a moment once again. Imagine there was DRS here. They would be swapping places left, right and center, these two guys. And they have been this close for all the race, for all the 19 laps. I would believe that Lil Jim might pull off a move at the latter stages of the race. He still has a lot of DRS, such as Short Marcus as well. Lovely stuff from the guy. Lil Jim here is being very, very patient, but he's playing the patient game, he's playing the long game. Short Marcus playing the patient game, and with the inverted commas, please let me win this game, and please, I don't want to shit in my pants, something of the sort, because the pressure from Jim is immense, and we are seeing Short Marcus wobbling a little bit there and then, but he's still being composed as we speak. Lovely stuff from these two guys, lovely stuff. Just a lovely race from these training conditions. Lovely stuff. So as we are heading now in lap 20, there's Super Calgan who has gained the 3-second lap penalty, and we have a spinner and a safety car. That was Reese who has caused the safety car. I don't know for what reason. Ooh, that was a massive spin. I am not entirely sure how that happened. But of course, Lil Jim, his teammate, is in P2. It's a little bit of a question mark as we see Outward Patient making overtakes as IV Arshel and Super Calgan are entering the pits. Is it drying up? Because it's a bit of a grey area, if you tell me. They are still changing into full wet, so the track is still very, very wet. And Marshall is still in front of Super Calgan. Maybe they are trying their best to have fresher tires, but I wouldn't suggest that, to be fair. Although the tires would be a little bit worn, I wouldn't suggest to pit and he crosses that white line towards the exit. Marshall, you cannot cross that white line when you're exiting the pits, but anyway, it is what it is. My opinion on these wet tires, I think it's never efficient to pit, and the only reason is that, first of all, they do not dry up, they do not heat, they do not wear up as much, but also they do not wear as much, but also you would need heated tires. As we see Lil Jim making a pit stop, it's an unusual one. It's an unusual one from Lil Jim. I don't think that he will benefit a lot from the pit strategy. In fact, Short Marcus, he capped out, and I think he is the most efficient driver at the moment, unless Lil Jim can pull off a very, very good tire warm-up. Lil Jim is still in P2. If I was at the back, I think I wouldn't pit. That's how much it's essential that you keep out. Of course, this is the right opportunity for the drivers at the back to gain everything back. Although Team Red seems that he is a lapped car, so he has basically compromised his race. But Paul Harrison isn't, and he's in P12. He can rejoin the rest of the drivers as quickly as I said. Paul Harrison and AJM, they are doing their best to keep up with the rest of the grid. Of course, the safety car is a little bit at the back. Maybe it fits this lap, maybe it is on the next lap. Of course, these drivers like Paul Harrison and AJM and George Stufus and Super Calgan and Marshall and Mitch and Komza and Outward Patient and Schnitzy and FDH, they all wanted the safety car not to fit this lap so that they can rejoin the drivers in front like Jim and Marcus for the last few rounds of the race. We have a comment from OBF1 Racing League, and Mr. Reese loses the rear through turn 1. Rest in peace, me. So that would be Kieran Reese commenting. Thanks for the comment, Kieran. Yeah, that's unfortunate, but you have a habit of doing it at the right time, I think. But hope you're okay. It seems that you had quite a crash. as we are seeing the drivers now bunching up. Of course, poor Harrison would be thanking God Almighty right now that the safety car is still out for another lap. So does AJM. Of course, they are trying their best to keep at it. Everybody has pitted except for Outward Patient and Short Marcus. Quite a little bit of a thing now. This is quite a little bit of a thing. I think they will be able to reach the drivers in front. I'm currently following, of course, Paul Harrison, because I wish to see whether he manages to join the rest of the grid. I believe he will by the end of the lap when the safety car would be coming in. And we have a spinner, I think. Short Marcus has spinned now. Ooh! What has happened? He had P1 and now all of a sudden he is in P7. Ooh, what a race is going to be now. Now it's going to be between FTH and Lil Jim. And we all know that the fastest lap of the race is currently held by FTH, so what's going to happen here? The safety car seems that it's still continuing. It's not going to enter this lap. It seems that it's going to go for another lap. It seems to be. And we are on the end of lap 22. Ooh. So I think now would be the perfect time for Short Marcus to pit. But that's very, very unlucky for Short Marcus. Of course, the tires are a little bit worn now, but they are warm, hopefully, so he still has the pace. So unlucky from Short Marcus right there. I would have placed a big bet on him because he was having such a great race until the safety car, of course. Ooh, he's getting very, very close to Mitch right there. I don't know, I honestly don't know what happened. If he's following the stream, I wish that he could DM me or send his video of what happened during the safety car. That probably has spun out of the stow curves. So easy to spin out there. Exactly at this moment. Probably has spun out here. I think he has pulled the throttle too much here and he lost the car. That's unfortunate. But we are seeing now Schnitzy in P3 with that 9 seconds worth of time penalties. This is why it's important not to get any penalties, and it's also very important why you should never ever retire from the race instantly in the pits, like OBF1, Mosherted and Dixirect. This is why you shouldn't retire, guys, because a safety car might occur and you can be put back into the race contention easily, so easily. But anyway, as we are getting along towards the last 3 laps of the race, Lil Jim is now the new race leader for OBF1 Tier 1 in Great Britain, with FTH following. Now the battle is going to be between these two, and Lil Jim gets to the throttle right now. Ooh, FTH still having a moment here. The tires are not fully heated up, and Lil Jim blasts off the finish line, starting lap 24 with a 1.4 second margin towards FTH. Schnitzy with a 1.3 second margin, followed by Outward Patient. He's right at his diffuser, which comes on P5. And Mitch in P6, Short Marcus follows in P7. They are very close to each other at the moment. I'm still going to follow short Marcus at the moment because it seems that it's going to be a very, very good battle. A very good recovery. Hopefully from short Marcus, trying to do his best, the best possible, to gain as much paces as possible. Maybe he gets P3. At least he doesn't lose everything from the race, because that's very, very unfortunate, of course. Mitch is still following through Komza, who has a 5-second time penalty, probably from speeding in the pits. Outward Patient doing a very, very good job in P4, potentially puts him in P3 if he still follows Schnitzi and he doesn't lose any places. And Mitch is still following through Komza. Short Marcus seems that he has lost a little bit the mojo of the race, or the tires are now starting to really show their true level of wear. Or maybe it's a drag race, who knows. Of course, we're seeing Lil Jim putting off the fastest lap of the race at the last few laps of the race, pulling off 2 seconds from FTH, followed by Schnitzi, Outward Patient, Komza, Mitch and short Marcus. Ooh, Komza and Mitch. Ooh, and we have a slight touch which puts Mitch in contention of out of the race. Ooh, what has happened there? That's unfortunate, but seems that they were side by side. Seems that there was contact, which enabled Mitch to spin out of the race. Unfortunate, but we move on. Short Marcus, I think he's praying for such situations in order to get as much as possible from the race. He only needs to be able to overtake Outward Patient in order to fulfill his P3, otherwise he would be not in the podium, and that would not be the most efficient way, the ideal way for him. It's ideal for Jim because he's in P1, he's leading the tier 2, and potentially would extend his lead from FTH, currently in P2, and he's also, I think, in P2 of the driver standings, if not in P3. So yeah, I mean, FTH is having a very good season, and he's having a good season mainly because he's been very consistent throughout. As you see, Lil Jim putting off the fastest lap of the race with a 1:38.881. As we are heading to the last lap of the race, again on board with short Marcus. I think he's trying his best to reach Outward Patient and overtake him. It's going to be very difficult for short Marcus with worn tires. Oh, and Mitch, I think he has retired from the race by pressing the retire button, I believe. Unfortunate for the guy. He was having a very good race. Of course, one contact after a safety car loses you a lot of positions. I would only empathize with the guy about what he feels about it. As we see, Legion blasting through the end of Sector 2, through Maggots and Beckett's, and now through Chapel towards the last sector. He's still improving from his lap, so that would be a very good strategy going from Legion. I thought that the changing of tires wouldn't be the best strategy possible, but it seems that it is, as Mitch is finishing the lap right here, finishing the last 2 corners now towards the Hamilton straight, and Lil Jim wins the race with yet again the fastest lap of the race, followed by FTH in P2, Schnitzi in P3 on track, but he will be overtaken by a lot of drivers, which puts him down in P7. Short Marcus finishes out of the podium in P4, Marshall in P5, Komza in P6, Schnitzi in P7, AJN finishes the race in P8. Super Calgan in P9, and P10 goes Paul Harrison, followed by George Stufis in P11. Team Red is still doing his last lap as we speak. I believe he was a lapped car, so I think he has unlapped himself from the safety car, which I don't think it's possible for the game. I mean, it should happen in real life, but it doesn't mean that the game allows you. So I don't know what happened. Maybe that was the possibility of why short Marcus spun out. We'll just need to wait and see. So as Team Red finishes in P12, so out of 18 drivers, 12 drivers finished, 2/3 of the drivers, with potential 3 drivers who have retired from the race, in my opinion, unnecessarily, because the safety car would have saved them. That would be 15 drivers, which would be 5 out of 6 drivers. A very good turnout and a very good number of drivers finishing the race. As we see Lil Jim taking yet another win from FTH in second place, and Outward Patient in P3. I think Outward Patient has done a very good job getting that P3. Well done to the guy. As we now have the race results, right in with Lil Jim on that Alfa Romeo with the fastest lap of the race in P1 with that 1:38.804 on that full wet conditions. FTH follows in P2, 5 seconds off the pace from from Lil Jim. I think he has got a penalty at the end of the race. Then there's Outward Patient in P3 with 7.966 seconds from the leader, followed by Marcus, who has led a lot from this race until the safety car, until he spun out. In P4, there's Marshall in P5, Combs in P6, Schnitzy in P7, AJM in P8, Super Calgan in P9, and Paul Harrison in P10. Missing out on the points, there's George Stufis in P11, P12 there's Team Red, and Mitch in P13. So here we have it, guys. This is the OBF1 Racing Tier 1 in Great Britain. I hope you have enjoyed the race as much as I did. It was a very close race overall, especially between the top drivers. It was a very healthy race, of course, until the safety car, which has spiced things up a little bit. But again, I hope you have enjoyed it. We will meet up next week. Probably I won't be able to commentate it, but for those who will follow, or for those who follow the OBF1 Racing, we will be racing next week in Zandvoort, Netherlands. So until then, I'll see you soon. Take care and stay safe, guys. Ciao, ciao.